All right, welcome to the live stream, and today we're going to be finishing up our three-part series we've been doing on the parallels between, or the possible parallels between Star Wars Episode 9 and Kung Fu Panda 3. And I mentioned, as I did in the description, that I was watching on New Year's Eve, I was watching Kung Fu Panda with 3 with my boys, and my jaw just kind of dropped because I was realizing that this would be the perfect direction for them to go in Episode 9 to tie up all 3 trilogies, which is exactly what they wanted to do, and also in a way to do it that ends with balance. Okay, balance between the light and the dark. And that's something that has never really been fully introduced. We've also never seen the spirit world of Star Wars. And so I really hope, on one level, that this is the direction that they're going, but they may have something totally different in store, and I'm sure it's going to be super awesome. But for those of you who are new, what we do here is live stream every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. That's 1 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern. And for you international folks, you're just going to have to figure that out on your own. But we cover Star Wars. We cover cults, apologetics, and Bible. And so it's kind of a hodgepodge. And on Saturdays, you can usually expect the Bible part. And throughout the week, it's going to be a lot of Star Wars as we're tying up all these loose ends with The Last Jedi, but also and heading into the Han Solo movie, but also as different things dealing with cults and apologetics come out. I'm very near releasing my book, Sharing Jesus with the Cults, on Amazon. And so you're going to be able to stay tuned for that. We're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff with that. And so go ahead and subscribe to this channel. And down over here in that left-hand side of the screen, there should be a watermark. You can click there, or you can click in the usual place to subscribe and join us, and thank you so much. And also, up there, you're going to see cards that are going to link you back to part 1 and part 2 of the series, as well as a video I did on Snoke and how I believe he's going to return. It's going to tie into all of these things that we're talking about in this series. So we're glad that you're here to join with us. Also, in the description below, you're going to find affiliate links to all sorts of different Star Wars stuff. And so, and also, if you don't have one of the Kung Fu Panda movies or the Star Wars movies, there's links down there for those as well. Anything that you do when you click on those links, even if it's normal Amazon shopping, helps out this channel. So thank you so much. While you're here, give a thumbs up. And if you're watching the replay, there's also going to be end screen cards that I'm going to be putting back on this later, and also be putting it in with a playlist. And so, welcome. And so, what are we talking about here? We are talking about Kung Fu Panda 3 in relation to Star Wars Episode 9. And part 1, we discussed the idea that they're going to introduce us to the spirit world, okay? That's something that's only happened in Legends, and I think it only happened very briefly as I was on Wikipedia this morning looking at that. But it's something that we know of Force ghosts who are entering into this world, but they were more apparitions. But in the Last Jedi, I don't know if you noticed, but Yoda was able to hit Luke on the head with his cane. So he was able to interact with him physically, and so that's something that's never happened. And he was also able to do the lightning on the Force tree and to take that down. And so that was an introduction to the idea that Force ghosts are more powerful than they had been in the past. The other thing that we talked about is the fact that in the Art of the Last Jedi, again, link down below if you want to get that, in the Art of the Last Jedi, it mentioned that they flirted with the idea, but then eventually left it out, of a Sith ghost appearing to Luke on Ahch-To. And that would have introduced the idea of there not only being Force ghosts, the Jedi, but Sith ghosts that also go into the afterlife, can become one with the Force, which the Force, again, yin-yang, okay, it's a balance of light and dark, okay? So the idea that only Jedi get in is kind of going against the worldview that it's going with in Star Wars. And so, regardless of whether they put it in there or not in The Last Jedi, I do think that we're going to get a glimpse into the spirit realm, the spirit world in episode 9, and that is going to have light and dark. And so part 1, we talked about and flirted with the idea that there is a battle in the spirit world, just like we saw Kai attacking Oogway in Kung Fu Panda 3. Part 2, then after Kai defeats Oogway in the spirit world, then he gains enough chi to where he's able to enter physically into this physical world and then invade the palace and then start stealing the chi away from, which is basically, we said, the Force, from these other masters. And so that was part 2, the idea that the spirit world would invade the physical world and actually do battle there. And then now part 3, what I'm going to suggest and what we're going to see here is that it's the reverse. That now that Poe gets defeated by Kai initially here in the physical world, he goes into the spirit world, and as they're doing battle in the spirit world, something happens in the physical world, and that is, you're going to see, and I apologize in advance, this is going to be a really long clip, about 10 minutes long, and so just hang in there and join in with me, but you're going to see how the pandas in the Panda Village, they all collectively use their chi, and because they're all collectively reaching out using their chi, they're able to help Poe in the spirit world defeat Kai. And so the parallel to that would be if we have on this, in the physical world, we still have Rey and Kylo Ren. And then in the spirit world, well, we have a whole lot of people, don't we? Especially if there are Sith ghosts. That opens the door to, Palpatine and Snoke, for sure. But who knows how far back that might go, and if they would include, Dooku or Maul, and maybe even Plagueis, because he was actually mentioned in the prequels. Who knows? Maybe, I think it's a long shot, but that maybe that would be the way they would introduce characters like Bane and Revan and Malgus and all those things from the Old Republic. But that's all remaining to be seen. But if you have that in the spirit world, and then on the light side you have, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and Yoda and Luke, just to have the short list, then we could have quite epic duels in the spirit world as well as in the physical world. And then ultimately, what I'm seeing here, and this is the way that they could tie it all together, and it'll make sense when you watch the clip, is that there's this big bad, which I think in this new trilogy would have to be Snoke. Although some of you would love to see Palpatine play this role, I think it has to be Snoke in this trilogy. And Andy Serkis, the actor who played Snoke, said that he's more powerful than Vader and Palpatine. And so if that's the case, then I just saw a video today, a short stormtrooper, hats off to him, he was proposing that Snoke be the most powerful Force ghost we've ever seen, in which case he's the big bad, right? And so he is essentially the equivalent of Kai in Kung Fu Panda 3. And he's wreaking havoc in the spirit world, and then he tries to wreak havoc in the physical world, and then it takes all of the collective Force users, light and dark, in the physical world to help all of the light side users in the spirit world defeat, once and for all, defeat Snoke, defeat the big bad, and bring balance to the galaxy. So I want to know what you think about that proposal, and then go ahead and start off with your comments and your questions and things you want to discuss. And I'm going to go ahead and start the clip, and then I'm going to head over in there and I'm going to start looking at what you guys have to say, and then I'll catch up with you when the video ends.
be the Dragon Warrior.
And you must be Kai. Hitty chitty chat 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 chat.
In this...
Ah, you pudgy little... Round them all up.
Oh no, it's true. You guys have all been turned green.
Ha!
Here we go!
Ready? Go time!
Belly!
Seriously?
I don't know who you are either.
Noodle Squad! Oh no! Master Shifu! I can't hit Shifu!
I can.
And so can I. Yeah! We got him now.
Stop. Enough.
Let's finish this.
That's our boy!
That didn't work. I'm going to try one more time. Skadoosh! Skadoosh, skadoosh, skadoosh. What the?
Hold on. Wait. It's working. No.
Teach you that little trick? Too bad. It only works on mortals. And I am a spirit warrior.
I was wrong. I'm sorry. Run! Run!
So, Oogway, this was the one destined to stop me. I will have his chi. You are just a stupid mortal.
What's that?
Oh, what?
Skadoosh!
No!
What happened? Where's Poe? Whoa! The spirit realm, it worked!
And we'll finish it here.
We have to help him. Poe, a father.
A friend.
Sleepy baby.
A family.
Sweet! A teacher? Turns out, I'm all of them. I am the Dragon Warrior. Get it? See the giant dragon? about Poe?
Have you seen Poe?
No, he's not here.
Poe? Poe?
Dragon warrior.
Oogway? Me?
I can't take that.
Just take it. I have a bigger one.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
You tell me.
No! Oogway, don't go!
I'm not going anywhere. I live here.
We thought we lost you. No, you saved me. You all did.
The student has truly become the Wait, where did you get that?
Oh, this.
Oogway gave it to me in the spirit realm.
Ready!
Smokey, help me!
Queenie baby.
Get him off me!
Panda asthma.
Inner peace. Inner peace. Now what?
Stop me.
It was never my destiny to stop you. I have set another on that path.
We'll have 2 justice platters, please.
Go, Dragon Warrior! Defend the valley!
She can win a fight just by throwing open a door.
Dramatic entrance.
Master Sheathie.
Okay. Okay, so I was having an interesting conversation with Matt, who has joined on to the live stream, and I just want to catch up for those of you watching the replay. Matt came on and he says, I like your ideas here, and I would like to see this story play out in your proposed way, but I think this argument has to take into account the intentions of Johnson, Kennedy, and Abrams. And I asked him, what do you believe those intentions are? And Matt said, does Abrams seem like he would want to implement surprises into the story that reverse what Johnson laid down? Do you think that Kennedy is the sort of person who would have input on this as well? And I said, I don't personally think that this would go against what Johnson laid down. He has stated that Luke has now become more powerful as a Force ghost. And I don't know if you're aware of that. And did you mean something else by that? And Matt says, actually, I don't really have an answer to this, but it's just a factor that I think is necessary to address. Otherwise, we're just talking headcanon. And headcanon, if you don't know, is basically the idea that even though there's an official canon, we kind of keep this mental log of how we would like the story to go or how we think it should have gone. And that's what some refer to as headcanon. And I'm not a big fan of headcanon. And he says, forgetting that these were stories being crafted in real time, and that's what got us into trouble with The Last Jedi. And I responded, all theory is headcanon until the movie comes out. And I want to emphasize that this is a theory. This is something that I saw, and I think it's a real possibility. I think it's possible that this is the direction they could be going. I think there's hints that could lead us along the way. But if we learned anything from The Last Jedi, it is just that there was a lot of theories about who Snoke is, who the Knights of Ren are, Rey's parentage, all sorts of stuff. And people went into the movie of The Last Jedi with certain expectations. Maybe those expectations came from legends. Maybe it came from a theory they were really fond of. And so they were let down when Snoke died. They were let down when the Knights of Ren didn't show up. They were let down when Rey's parentage turned out to be nobody. They were let down when Luke became one with the Force. And some were let down even. I thought it was the coolest part of the movie when, he showed up as a Force ghost and no one realized it's a Force ghost and they try and blast him down with everything they have and he just, brushes it off. And then you find out he wasn't there in the first place and then he becomes one with the Force. I thought that was epic. I love that, but not everybody did. Anyway, I just want to emphasize these are theories, and I think that I would love to see them. I think that they're plausible. I think that this could tie together all three trilogies. And anyway, so going on, and said, did you like The Last Jedi? And he says, I think that Johnson and maybe Kennedy want to end the old character story arcs. I'm unsure of what they want, I'm unsure if they want to bring them back for the finale. And then he said, fair points. And he said he didn't really like The Last Jedi, 3 out of 5. And I said, do you think that they can wrap up all three trilogies without Luke, Leia, or Han? And I want to know what your thought on that is. Do you think that they can wrap up the trilogy, not just this trilogy, but all three trilogies? Because 9 is really the end of this story, as far as we know, the Skywalker saga. Do you think it's possible to end that and wrap it all up without Luke, Leia, or Han? So I want to know your comments down below about that. And he says, good question. Like a lot of people, I think they wanted to end 9 with Leia. And he is absolutely right. And that was my response, is that 7 was supposed to be Han's story, 8, Luke. And notice that, you have Han, it was supposed to be his story, he dies in 7. It's supposed to be Luke's story in 8, and he dies in 8. And it was supposed to be Leia's story in 9. So were they planning to kill Leia off in the end? 9. Another good question. And what do you think that they're going to do with Leia now that she's not around, and they said they won't CGI her back in. And how, if that was the original path, do you think that there's another way besides what I've proposed in which they could wrap up this trilogy and all 3 trilogies at once? So comments down below. And I proposed, what if Anakin came back to truly bring balance to the Force under the new definitions of balance, which I believe should have been the definition all along. And what I mean by that is this, that Anakin was said to be the chosen one. He was supposed to be balanced to the Force, but what Luke accurately pointed out in The Last Jedi is that the Jedi's definition of balance in the prequels was really flawed, and Yoda even pointed out that they may have misinterpreted the prophecy of the chosen one, and I think they very much did, because Obi-Wan says to Anakin, you were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them, and that's not at all what balance means. Balance means that light and dark can coexist, and I think it really means that they just stop trying to hold a monopoly on the Force. And that's exactly what Luke was talking about in The Last Jedi. And he says that's why the Jedi, in his opinion, needed to end. And he may be wrong in his thinking that, if the Jedi and Sith end, then there's going to be balance. And how do you think that Rey and Kylo are going to bring balance to the Force? That's another thing to comment down below. And he says, given the themes of The Last Jedi, I think it's likely that they would prefer to have the end focus on Rey and not have classic characters be central to the finale. And I said, ending with Leia was the original plan. Okay, he says, maybe, and he said, I would like it, but I think it would be vulnerable to criticism from reviewers that would say that Rey's ending got stolen by Anakin. In which case I said, that what this theory is proposing is you have a dual story arc. You have the physical world, and you have Rey and Kylo, and who knows, Knights of Ren, other Force users, and they're doing battle here on Earth. And then you have like the Resistance and the First Order still going at it. Then you have, in the spirit world, you have all these characters from the past. And if you ever watch the end episode of any great TV show where it's been on for a long time and they have to bring closure and they know it's the last episode they planned, it didn't just get canceled on them, they go to great lengths to bring in people from the past. And I think that would, well, for one, what I brought up is that Samuel L. Jackson has been almost begging for Windu to be brought back. Ewan McGregor has stated in openness. Hayden Christensen stated in openness. Andy Serkis has stated that he was kind of vague in his description, but he says, any character in Star Wars could still come back. There's always that possibility. So, and then when you have the Sith ghost that they almost had in there, and Luke supposedly being more powerful, I think that's almost guaranteeing that Luke's going to come back. I just think that the spirit world would give an opportunity for that, and you'd have this dual story arc that can satisfy both and bring ultimate, as the two collide with one another, ultimately bring balance to the Force. And he says, yeah, perhaps I'm just not as clear as I should be on your idea. I do like it in principle. And Matt, I hope that you got a little bit more of my idea, and I hope that it makes sense a little bit more, and I would love to chat with you more about this. And so feel free, even on the replay, guys, especially since Matt, I think all your comments, when it goes on to the post, I think all the comments are just going to go away. I may need to go back here and maybe steal them and catch everybody up on the comments and where they've been, just so they can join in on our conversation as well. But yeah, feel free to keep this conversation going well after the fact. And just listening to interviews, etc., from those involved, it's hard to tell. It's certainly possible. What do you think of the theory that Anakin did destroy the Sith in Return of the Jedi? Anakin did And I believe that for a long time. And I think before this new trilogy came out, that was my view, is that Anakin did, by his turning and destroying Palpatine, he destroyed the Sith and brought balance to the Force. And honestly, I mean, that was kind of the way they portrayed it, big celebration. They honestly went way over the top when they did the revision, because there were celebrations going on all over the world and all over the galaxy, and that wasn't in the original. And I think that made it a little harder to believe that the First Order, like in the New Republic and all this stuff, could just so quickly take off and become a thing, and evil be reintroduced so easily. And, you know, everybody's still wondering, you know, who is Snoke? Where did he come from? How did he get into power? How did we not see him originally? And getting satisfying answers to that. And so that was part of it. But I definitely think that they have opened the doors wide open. And I've said this in a number of videos in regards to the Force, that it was specialized before, Jedi, Sith. Now all sorts of people can be Force users. They kind of introduced that in, you know, Rebels with Ashlyn and Bogan, and the Bendu, and, you know, the father, son, daughter thing. They introduced it into Rogue One with, you know, Guardians of the Wills, Church of the Force, all this kind of stuff. So there's all sorts of Force users all over the map. And I think that's really where they're going, and especially for the future, because they're not only just thinking about closing out this saga, but they're thinking forward to, like, Rian Johnson's new trilogy, the Game of Thrones guys movies, the live TV series, the new animated series. I mean, we're going to see Star Wars go in a lot of directions that it's never gone before. But honestly, I think I would really love to see the Force Ghosts become more powerful than they have been in the past. And I want to know what your guys' thoughts on that. Do you like where they're going? Do you want the Force Ghost to become more of a prevalent role? Do you want the Force to be more wide open to the general public? And anybody who seeks it out, and or do you want it to just be the Sith and the Jedi? Again, the only thing the Jedi got wrong in Lucas's view is the timing. They were 3 movies off. And I guess, yeah, this isn't the view of the sequels, however. Your view makes more sense now. Thanks, I like it a lot. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. And so that concludes the end of the dialogue, and this went a lot longer than our previous ones. We're getting there. The word's getting out. Spread the word. Let people know. Let the Star Wars fans know. Apologetics, cults, Bible. Let people know that this channel exists. Help us get to that next goal of 1,000 subscribers. Check out the affiliate links in Amazon down in the description down below. Check out the other videos. If you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe to my channel for more videos and to be notified when I go live. And until next time, may His power be with you.